In this project, I want to design animations. The idea is related to car racing. When I was a kid, I always pretend some stupid things, especially when I was in the car. When the weather went raining, I pretend the water drop on the windows as car racing, as the water drop would slide from the window to the edge of the window. I couldn't do anything else though which was interesting than this. Honestly, as I feel it would be interesting to make an animation of it. I start to do frame-by-frame animations on Clip Studio. I draw a series of scenes regarding the animation from the start to the end. Basically, they can be separated in 3 parts, including ready to start, the process, and the black card wing. The first part of the scenes are inspired by the video games called Asphalt. I want to present a strong movement, but the cards are not moving at the start, which is hard to present the feeling. However, in the game of Asphalt, the camera views the car from different perspectives, and it adds various effects on the camera, such as zooming, moving, position, and rotation the camera. I will use this effect in my animations. In the middle part of the scenes, they can be separated into 2 groups as well, which are the water drop groups and the car groups. Because they are still water drops, I plan to imply that those cars are water drops, and that is why there are lines behind them. In addition, I plan to use watercolor to present the animations, as that brings a sense of realistic. The other group display a front version of the cards because I want to highlight the details of the race, and that is what I pretend when I was a kid. It is related to the main theme. These 2 groups will be shown one by one to highlight the tensions of the car race. Furthermore, the scenes frequently accentuate the middle 2 cards because I plan to the bottom right card winged. But it will be boring if the right card is always the first one for all the time. I want to bring a sense of surprise to the audience. Thus, I designed the scenes that the audience can totally focus on those 2 cards for a moment. Once the audience still worry about which card is gonna reach the end, the right card suddenly get into the scenes and finish the race. That is the plan of the middle scenes. The final groups is the scenes of when the black car wins and the portrait of myself. Once the car reached the end, I focus on the details of the process of the cars transforming from the car to the water drop. After finish these animations, I will draw an animation of the kid sitting in the car gazing the window and continue on his journey. Kids love imaginations when they have nothing to do at the moment. Thus, these scenes will be displayed at the end of the animations to highlight the truth of the story. I have found some reference of the water drops on the windows, as I need to understand how the water drops moved on the windows. The image presents the path of the water drop and a bunch of drops staying on the windows. However, I don't want my scenes to be too messy, which audience can totally focus on those 4 cars. And also, I have found a reference of the race card or fancy card. I captured the feature of the race card and the design for the 4 cars. It will be good to see cartoony style of the race car as it shows a kid's imaginations. I play around Clip Studio before starting my project as I haven't played frame-by-frame animation before. I started to play around the Clip Studio program and design a short animation with color lines. I realized that it is hard to animate a straight lines as my hands is shaking each time. When I create a new paper, even though there's onion functions which I can view the previous track, consequently, duplicating each page will be a better decision to design the path of the water drop. I use watercolor brush to draw the path as it brings a sense of realistic of water, whereas the cars are drawn by other brushes, which is harder than water brush. Because I want to highlight the details of the cars, it shows a strong comparisons. I designed the full path of the car and I can edit in After Effects later. However, the first design of the animation of the path doesn't go successful. I was concentrating on how the curve went during the period, as I believed that water drops would go with curved lines. I didn't realize that I have designed too much curved, which it didn't bring a sense of correlation with the real water drops. It was a big failure design, which pushed me to design another water drop path. The second design doesn't present too much of curved lines, and it's shorter than the first design. In addition, both scenes display that the car turns left. It's because the water drop has influence by the wings, which the wing push them to the left. What is more, the green card is explode at the end because in real times it hits the edge of the window, but in kids' imagination it hits the road barrier and explode. In the front view car scenes, besides adding magnify effect and moving positions, I add blur effect to the car scenes as I want to present a sense of the accelerations. Moreover, I draw some lines surrounding the cars as well as the background. They improve the feeling of velocity and highlight the movement of the cars. I didn't use frame-by-frame animation to display these star scenes. Instead, I draw 3 frames from each card and import them into the After Effects in order to make loops. It reduced the time consuming and produced the same feature as frame-by-frame animations. With regard to the effect of rotating scene, which is the scene with strong perspective, I used line chart to design the effect. As I want to highlight the movement, I change the line and try to bring a feeling of flow. It produced a scene of comfort as well. In addition, the black car shows a number 1 on the door. It implies that the black car will win eventually. In the scenes with ghosts, I use blur tool to mix up the color and explore the tool and present the combination of watercolors. In addition, I use another way to display the smoke of the cars. It isn't kind of realistic, but the video shows for kids, which will be great to engage how the color mix up. So these scenes are designed by Clip Studio with frame by frame. In this scene, I use frame-by-frame animations as this scene is about the black car wings and transform into water drop. In order to create realistic water drop, I animate the water drop into an elastic effect, which the water will return back to the circle and back to the flat pieces. I use Photoshop to design 5 objects to create a final scene, including the kids, rains, cars, road, and the background buildings. I can use After Effects to design the eyes blinking, but I only can use frame-by-frame animation to do the movement of the kid when he's looking at the windows. In order to show a car moving, I use looping to create the backgrounds, road, and the buildings, which they start from the left to the right. Also, it is important to distinguish the speed between the foreground and background. Thus, the video presents the different speed of the road and buildings. I use free sound to search on soundtrack such as water drop, rain, and alarm sound. The alarm sound is for the number of counting at the start of the video, but the voice was a piano sound at the start. I import into Adobe Audition to edit by changing the pitch of the sound. I also edit the other soundtracks, although they only have a few change. The main soundtrack of the cards are from my voice and my friends' voices, as kids will make voice when they are imagining something in their mind. It brings a sense of movement and realistic. In this project, I'm interested in how I develop the idea from the series of drafts to an animations at the end, especially when I use different programs to design and mix up animations, which includes frame-by-frame animations and moving animations. It reduced the time consuming and enhanced the work efficiency. Also, it will be a good research to play with 2 programs together. In addition, this is my first time to learn frame-by-frame animations by using Clip Studio. I have learned the onion systems. It produced the previous page of drawing as the reference in order to continue on the second designs. Indeed, there were failures during the project such as water drops lines and the water drops. By focusing on the research and looking for some reference to figure out the details of how water drop moved, I redesign the work and keep testing to bring the sense of reality to the animation. The other things that I believe it can be improved is the soundtrack. As I'm not familiar with Adobe Auditions and the soundtracks, some sounds produce a rough effect, which I don't know whether it is the issue of recording or after editing the sounds. Overall, the task brings a bunch of fun. I am impressed by the ideas, as I believe that a very tiny boring thing will be a perfect reference to start, and keep exaggerating the idea or being inspired by the other things, which is not related to the main idea, and try combine together. Will stop always being interesting.